All right, today we're going to step into the shoes of a digital detective. We're looking at the very first phase of any ethical hack, which is reconnaissance. This is where all the groundwork gets laid, and, where the first clues really start to surface.
So you might be wondering, how does a real cyber investigation actually get started? It's not like the movies with a flurry of code on the screen or some dramatic breach. It really begins with a single fundamental principle.
It all boils down to one simple, absolutely critical rule. This is the bright line that separates a security pro from just a criminal. And here it is. This is the golden rule, right? Without explicit, written permission, you are not a detective, you are a digital trespasser. It's that simple. Every single technique we're going to talk about today operates under this one vital principle.
So that brings us right into our first section. Because active reconnaissance involves making direct contact with a target, permission, well, it isn't just a suggestion, it's everything.
So what is active reconnaissance really? Think of it like you're digitally walking up to a building and, checking the doors. You're directly interacting with the target, and that creates network traffic. You're leaving behind digital footprints, and that activity can definitely be detected.
All right, we've got our permission slip in hand. The first job for any detective is to survey the scene. We've got to know which systems are actually online before we even think about checking for unlocked doors. So the very first step is to just find the live systems. We can use a great tool called Nmap to do what's called a ping sweep. All this does is send a super simple signal out to a range of addresses to see who answers back. We're not trying to get inside or anything. We're just knocking and asking, hey, is anyone home? And mapping out which targets are actually online.
Okay, so we found the live host. We found a building with the lights on. The next logical question is, where are the doors? Where are the windows? Where are all the potential entry points?
In the digital world, these entrances are called ports. A scanner like Nmap is fantastic because it tells us their state. An open port, that's our unlocked door, where some service is actively listening for a connection. Closed means, well, it's a locked door. We can see it, but no one's listening on the other side. And filtered, that means there's a brick wall, probably a firewall, just blocking our view entirely. We can't even tell if a door is there or not.
Now that we know what we're looking for, we've got to choose the right tool for the job. A detective wouldn't use a battering ram when a simple lockpick would work, right? The same is absolutely true for port scanning.
Let's look at two really common approaches. A TCP Connect scan is like walking up and knocking loudly on the door. It completes the full digital handshake to confirm the connection is there. It's super reliable, but it's also very easy to detect. The SYN scan, though, that's the professional's choice. It's more like gently jiggling the handle. It starts the handshake, but never actually completes it. And that makes it faster, stealthier, and way less likely to show up in standard system logs.
But, the toolkit goes way deeper than that. There are UDP scans for services that don't need a formal connection, like DNS. There are even sneakier scans like a fin scan, which sends an unexpected type of packet that can sometimes slip right past older firewalls. And you can even control your speed. An option like T4 tells your scan to be more aggressive. It's way faster, but it also makes a lot more noise on the network.
Okay, so we found the live hosts, and we've identified the open doors. The next logical step, right, is to peek inside and see what's actually in the room. This is what we call the art of enumeration. Enumeration is where we go from just finding doors to gathering actionable intelligence. We're actively talking to the services we found, and we're looking for things like user account names, public file shares, or even network layouts, really any detail that gives us a clearer picture of our target. So what kind of intel are we after here? Well, we're hunting for things like user accounts, which could be great targets for password guessing later on. We're looking for network shares that might just contain sensitive files left open. And we definitely want to find the specific versions of software running, because an outdated version could have a known exploitable vulnerability. Every little piece is a valuable clue. Now, to gather these really specific clues, our detective needs more than just a way to check doors. They need a full toolkit of specialized instruments for deep dive intelligence gathering. So let's start with the Swiss Army knife of our toolkit, the Nmap scripting engine, or NSE for short. It's a feature that's built right into Nmap, and it uses these little scripts to automatically pull detailed information from any services it finds open. It's the perfect next step right after your initial scan.
For example, SMB enum users is designed to specifically talk to the SMB protocol. That's the service Windows uses for file sharing, and it tries to list every single available user account on that system. It's targeted, it's automated, and it's an incredibly powerful way to learn who has access.
But what if you want to go for an even deeper dive on those Windows and Linux file shares? Well, there are specialist tools for that, like enum for Linux. This thing is designed to do one job extremely well. Pull every possible piece of information from Windows and Samba systems, from user lists all the way to password policies.
And what about websites? They have hidden doors too. A tool like GoBuster is like a detective with a massive list of common file and directory names. It just tries every single one against a website to find hidden pages, maybe some backup files, or even administrative panels that aren't linked anywhere on the main site. It's like finding secret rooms in a building.
And finally, we get to the ultimate forensic tool, Wireshark. If Nmap is like knocking on doors, Wireshark is like setting up a high-definition camera that records everything. Every single packet of data sent during your scans can be captured, saved, and analyzed for evidence.
Now, capturing everything creates a ton of noise, so the real power of Wireshark is in its filters. These let our detective instantly sift through mountains of data to find the important clues, like isolating all the traffic from just one IP address, or filtering to see only the initial SYN packets from our stealth scan to confirm who responded.
So, when you put it all together, it creates this really logical workflow. You start wide with host discovery. Then you narrow in, scan for open ports, and identify what services are running. From there, you use specialized tools to dig into specific targets, like websites and file systems, all while capturing the traffic as evidence. It's a methodical process of investigation, from the outside in.
So, we've laid out the tools and the whole methodology of a digital detective, and these are the exact techniques security pros use to test defenses every single day. And that really just leaves us with one question. How well are your own digital doors locked?